Well, hello, my dear friends. Funny running into you here like this. Today's going to be a bit of a long one because we are using the dough from our other video that I said I was using for pizza, but really didn't use for pizza. I just broke down my favorite Domino's pizza. We're going to be using that to make calzones. So first, I have to get the marinara that we will be using as a side because I don't like putting marinara inside the dough. So all I'm going to be doing is taking a can of tomato sauce, which we get at Sam's Club, of course. Bunch of it. Time, because, I use a lot. We're going to pour it into this pan. And then all I'm going to put in this is dry seasoning. So caramelized onion butter, which is probably a teaspoon. Then I'm going to put a lot of garlic, almost tablespoon of garlic powder. And then the last three things is I'm going to be putting Italian seasoning in it, which is going to be about another tablespoon of that. Because I really want that nice marinara flavor for when we're dipping. And then I'm just going to put in a pinch of salt, maybe a little more. And then same pepper, because I like ours a little spicy. And then this is just, this is actually a marinara mix that I'm trying to hurry up and get rid of and use all of it. So it's like a tomato marinara sauce. So now we got that. I'm just going to put this on the eye and have it start reducing. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to stir it in a little bit. Put a lid on it, and now it's good. So, beforehand, I have chopped up half of a bell pepper, half of a sweet onion, and 1 clove of garlic. And I sauteed that with just salt and pepper. The salt is used to pull out moisture from the onion and the pepper and the garlic. So it's not dehydrating, it's just kind of evaporating some of the moisture off. I'm doing this because I'm going to be wrapping this in dough. This is not for me, this is for Laura because I won't eat any of this. I just want cheese and meat because I'm simply, whatever the words are, don't word today. I'm more of a, I'm more of a simpleton, okay? I like just a regular pepperoni pizza, the most of everything. I like just a bologna and cheese sandwich, turkey and cheese, very simple. I'm good with that. Somehow I've gotten water on the countertop, so let's just get that off. So the other ingredients that's going to go into this calzone are sliced mozzarella. I use Belgioso mainly because this was buy one get one free the last time we were at Publix, because this stuff is ridiculously expensive. That'll go on the bottom when I'm creating it. And excuse me. The other thing I'm going to use is sliced mozzarella. This will go on the top when I'm layering everything for internal. So we're going to just set those over there from right now. I'm going to get some gloves on and prepare a little bit, mainly to prepare to cut this dough up, because we won't be using all that. This will actually make about 4 calzones, or you can make 2 calzones and a pizza, 4 small pizzas, or you can make 1 big calzone and 3 medium pizzas. That's why it's very versatile. I always make more dough than I need. So I'll get right back with you as soon as I get everything. Sorry, my microphone almost fell into the dough. So get right back with you when I've got everything ready. All right, we're back, and now that I have the 3 derpers, the 3 dogs, which forms derpers around me, we can start. So the only tools I'm going to be using is a roller and a pizza scraper, and that's just to cut up the actual dough. I've already got all the ingredients, laying around everywhere because I'm going to make a mess, and I'm also going to mess something up. So don't worry about that. I need to turn that over so y'all don't see the bottom. And I have a pan that's already greased, so I'm basically just going to cut this nice dough up. And I'm going to take this, because we're not going to be using it, put that over there. So we got this, and I'm going to, since I'm going to make one a little bigger because of all the extra ingredients, I'm going to just kind of cut that. And we'll put that one over there. Move our dough scraper back, and then we're going to start with this right here. So all I'm doing right now is forming this into a nice ball, and then I'm going to start patting out with my hand. You don't have to be gentle with it because I need it to be stretched thin, but not too thin. We're probably looking at 1/2 inch thick, maybe a little thinner. So with this dough, you want to push out. You don't ever want to come back. Since I'm working on this countertop, I really don't have to worry much about the dough kicking back. But basically, I just want to stretch it without tearing it and without it getting too thick. If the corners are a little thick, that's fine. That'll just help me prevent it from busting. Actually, see, we already got like a little tear trying to go there. That'll be fine. That'll be the top. So I just need to make sure that this section right, this here is your fail-safe point, because that's going to be the seam in the back. So that's the only real part I need to worry about. I don't need to get that too thin, because when I go to fold it, it's liable to tear. So as I was saying before, this is going to be our bottom layer, and I'm not just... I can't tell you how much I hate cameras. Well, while we're waiting on the camera to decide if it wants to actually focus for some reason. There we go. Sometimes you might notice that this hand does this. And I actually had someone ask me if I was nervous. No. I have something called IgA nephropathy. I've had it for, let's see, 23 years now. IgA nephropathy is an autoimmune disorder that attacks your body. In my case, that attack took place in the kidneys. So I have end-stage renal disease, which I've had for a long time. I've had 2 kidney transplants because of it. So the shaking, I take a medication called Prograf or tacrolimus. And this is actually called Tacro Shakes. It doesn't matter what you do. There's nothing getting around this. The medication does it. Some days it can be worse. Some days not so much. There are things that can exasperate it when you're doing certain things. Never forget the first time I really experienced it. We went out to eat, and I was fine. We're eating. We've been there for like 30 minutes. And I go to pick up this glass, and it was actually my right hand that did it. I picked up this glass, and I got it almost to my face, and I just started this tremble. And by the time I got to my face, I was doing this. So I was like, okay, it was something else. But, it's just a thing that is, and we just have to make concessions and know that that's a thing, and we move on from it, just like lots of things in our lives. But, you laugh at the stuff. You laugh at it because it's ridiculous, and it makes for funny stories and other nonsense that goes on in our lives. We got enough to worry about, right? Got dogs to feed here because it's almost their dinner time. So once I get a nice bed for this, I'm actually going to use about half of this. Well, it depends. I will be using all of this because I want it nice and full, and it just adds extra flavor. So we're going to make sure that that stuff is nice and piled because we want a little in every bite. I wasn't really sure how I was going to film this, so I went ahead and put all the pepperoni and stuff over here to the side in a bowl. And so I'm just going to kind of layer it. And normally, I would put a lot more of this. I won't be filming the one that I do for me. I'll be putting a lot more pepperoni in the one that I eat. Because like I said, I'm super simple. I just want meat and cheese. I'm not fancy. I didn't grow up fancy. One of my most fancy sandwiches I had growing up was potato chips and on bread. Sometimes we want to get fancy. We'd put like turkey and cheese with the potato chips. But most of the time, so we did a thing called summer camp. Some of you might have done it as kids. Basically, it was for something for us to do. It's just me. I'm an only child. Something for me and my cousins to do to pretty much have something for us to do and not be at our houses all the time. Because our parents worked all the time when we were growing up. And they worked quite a ways away. But all of us, as I was a kid, we all lived around each other. And, we're poor. The kind of birthdays we had. So, as a kid, when I was a kid, it's not something you would have ever known as being a child. You don't know. They're poor most of the time. Now the dogs are barking. One second, I will be right back after I'm done with those. My apologies. Our dogs, most of the time, like if they're outside, they don't bark. But if they're inside and a tree farts, we have to raise 6 kinds of hell for some reason. I don't get it, but they're dogs, so dogs are gonna dog. So I'm going to top these with this. And as I was saying, you grow up poor, you don't really know, because like for birthdays, I had a bunch of relatives. See, that's going to be a problem. So I had a bunch of relatives. So whenever any of us had a birthday, they all were there, and so pretty much each aunt and uncle would get you a present. So you're getting, my mom was one of 7 kids and my dad was one of 4. So you're getting basically a present from each one of them. So you really don't have an understanding that your parents really only got you the one thing or maybe 2 things. Different times. But that's just the way it was. Some people growing up, I don't envy kids in the modern era with all the stuff. I'm big on tech too. And there's always things that I want. I couldn't imagine, So this is gonna look terrible. And that doesn't matter because we're going to be eating it. So I really don't care how it looks. But if you're one of those who wants to be all fancy, you could just take it and let me get the pan. So just regular oiled pan. Regular oiled pan. I don't know what that loud yip was. One of the dogs doing who knows what. So it's getting very sticky because it's getting warm and it's on the countertop. So there's my seam. If I wanted it to look nice and fancy, I could take and pull this over and smush it down, because this is really the seam I need to worry about. And take and start. I'm just pinching. Just pinch and roll, pinch and roll. Pinch and roll. Pinch and rolling is the easiest way that you'll want to braid. Like I said, I don't really care about it looking all that good. It's going to be eaten. What I do care about is any imperfections where I have had the cheese. Because what I do not want is for it to blow out. And if you're really worried about it, you can take that nice seam, fold it over. I was kind of hoping this was going to be sticky enough. So what I'm doing now is what I would usually do with a loaf of bread. Pinch and pull the seams. So what I am doing is I'm pinching under, pushing under, and pulling up. Pinching and pulling up. So it's basically making the seam up top. And then I'm going to go along and pinch along the ridge. Mainly is to protect that tear that we had. I want to make sure this is in the middle. And I have a feeling that we're going to have some issues as it is cooking. But once I got it basically the way I want it, I'm going to just take and I'm going to make little notches. Actually, I'm going to make 4 of them. And hopefully that will let any air wick out. But I'm not going to cook this right away. I'm actually going to put a tea towel over top of this, and I'm going to let it rise and warm. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the light on the microwave. I'm going to put it in the microwave, and I'm going to let it rise with a tea towel on it for about 30 minutes before I actually cook it. And it's just going to give the dough a little time to rise. And hopefully what that will do is this seam will seal shut. So when it is in the oven, it'll behave and not rupture. Because we do not want it to rupture. And it's going to be quite large once it cooks. Which is the big problem. But anyway, that's what the calzone is going to look like. And when it's done, I'll get back to let you see how that looks. You know, I changed my mind. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make just the pepperoni one. There's a reason for this, because I want to show you the other way in which I would make calzone. Because the other one, that's how you make it when you're going to pleat it or braid the edge. And, you know, braiding the edge, I kind of showed you, but not the greatest. So with this, and I realize this is not centered. We're kind of space limited here, because that's mainly the cameraman's fault. He doesn't plan. So if you want to braid dough in any way, so you're gonna take and pinch and fold. So I have folded over my finger, and I'm gonna just keep doing that. And you're just twisting, 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 and twisting with my thumb. See, it makes a rope. This dough, however, is not the best for showing that, because it is very sticky. My pizza dough I would not have as sticky as this. I have the sticky because it is going to be calzone, and I do want it to stick to itself to better make a seam. Not a seam, a seal. That's the word I want. I want the seal to be better. So the other way that I make calzone is I'm going to make kind of a square shape like this, because I'm going to lay everything in the center, and I'm going to pull both ends up. And really, this is the easiest way to do this, because that way it's less of a hassle. And I'm also going to be layering it different. So instead of putting the sandwich mozzarella on top, I want it to make a bed. Much like this. And once I have that, I can actually see just how my dough's gonna lay out. Alright, and then like I said before, I'm gonna just put a whole bunch of, excuse me, I realize I just burped right at the microphone. So I'm putting a whole bunch of this nice pepperoni in the middle. And just from sitting on the counter, this is trying to rip apart just from the force of the stretch from laying on the counter. And so then I'm going to take and I'm going to bust up this stuff here and lay it across the top, bust up some more, lay it across. The problem with this, and what I'm doing with this Belgioso mozzarella, is this has a lot of moisture in it, unlike this, the sandwich mozzarella. So we're talking about lots of steam and melting, but it'll give you a very nice chew. And I am not any kind of professional to be listening to. I am some idiot in their kitchen who makes stuff the way I want it and the way I like it. So, as I have that, I actually have to take off the gloves because I'm going to season this with a butter garlic salt and just a butter garlic, excuse me, I don't know if you heard me. I'm going to season this with a butter garlic salt, and it's mainly to season the mozzarella. And I'm also going to season it with a garlic butter seasoning, because I really like garlic and butter seasoning, and I like those two things very much with mozzarella. It gives it a very nice taste. It gives it this nice butteriness to counteract that pepperoni, which is going to be spicy because of how much I put on it. So I got more gloves. Now we're gonna have another come apart because Laura just got home. So I will spare y'all the rest of this. I will get back with you when this is done. So pretty much what I'm going to do with this is I come up underneath and I'm gonna pull over this side, and then I'm gonna come underneath and I'm going to pull over this side, and then I'm wrapping over just like this, and I'm going to come around the bottom and wrap and come around the bottom, because that's going to cause a problem, and wrap, and you're just making this and so the reason I did what I did is because I'm going to fold this over, and now the seam's on the bottom. And it looks so nice because you got those sheets on top. And then that's it. I'm going to cut holes in the top. 1, 2, and then 1 in the middle, because that's where I'll be cutting it later. And that's it for that one. And so there we go. You can see we had a little bit of seepage here from where the seam was. That's why I turned it over. I figured that would happen. A little bit of leakage in the back, and that's where it tore. So, you know, I have garlic butter here that we're just going to put on top. I mean, I'm not eating this, so I don't have to worry really about the calories. So we just put garlic butter on it, and then we're going to put a little bit of Parmesan Asiago Romano. Maybe not quite that much, but you know. And then you're done. That's your calzone. I guess I can cut it open so you can see it. Let's move that out of the way. For those of you that are interested, this is how mine turned out. See? Make sure we get all that cheese. Glove. So we're gonna get about that much. Still didn't cut through. There we go. And looks like that. And after cooking down our sauce, it looks like this. Perfect for dipping stuff in. Really, I don't really dip it. I just use my fork to do it. Put a dab on each piece. But that's it. Hopefully y'all can make something and it's just as good.